You're listening to the smooth jazz sounds of Rob Speciale here as I begin to record a video for my first and fifth period Cyber 1 classes. This is your host, Robert J. Speciale, as we take a journey through the wonderful world of Microsoft Windows. I'm going to stop the music now because that's kind of funny. Yeah, we'll pause that for now. What's up, guys? How's everything going? Hope everybody is doing well. I'm recording this on Sunday, March 29th, 2020 AD. I hope everybody is doing okay. Hope everybody's family is doing okay. I wanted to create some more content for you guys to look at for this upcoming week. I'm going to try and post this. This will all be posted for you for Monday, and I'll have some more information for you on Wednesday, and I'll make a quizzes for this content for you to try just to mess around with the stuff and get acclimated with it. And it's in the hopes that when we return to school, if we return to school this school year, which that's toss up the way things are looking right now, but we intend to come back on April 17th as the target date, at least anyway. If we do rake it back to school, then when we get back, all the stuff that I'm going to be going through now will be review, and then it will be graded. But like, as I've said a bunch of times to everybody, or any child or any parent, grandma, grandpa, aunt, and uncle, whoever takes care of you, will listen. None of this stuff that we're doing right now is counting towards a grade for anything. This is just, hey, I'm getting information out to you. This is the kind of content that we'd be doing if we were getting together on a daily basis. So I wanted to continue to do that. Now, the next section in Net Academy, the next chapter is chapter 11, which is pretty big, and it's on configuring Windows. Once you get it installed, it's up and running. How do you configure it to do what you need to do? And there are some things that are just as simple as, how do I change my background picture? It's something that I do quite maniacally. Although this sweet picture of the Enterprise and the Discovery from the Star Trek TV series, Star Trek Discovery, has been my background for quite some time now. So that's pretty amazing. Usually I'm good for changing my background picture once every couple of weeks, but I've left this alone for now. What we're going to do when we get back is we're going to take this content here, and what I'm going to do is make it one really big checklist. And then as you go through where the settings are for this particular content area, where do you find them? What do they do? How do you change them? How do you change them back? Like that kind of stuff. And make one big super checklist, as opposed to reading every chapter word for word, blah, 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 blah. Because that would be ridiculously annoying. Now, I will admit this video here is going to be covering this content, comparing the Windows versions, because I think it is a little bit interesting and at least important to know, because if you decide to go out there in the working world, it's not like every company is running like the brand newest version of Windows out there. You're going to run into older versions and some mix of what this content goes over today is Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows 8.1, and then Windows 10. Yes, you may go out there and see like Windows 11 a little, Windows XP a little bit, and that would be nice and scary. You might even see Windows 2000, which would be even scarier. I'm not going to lie and say that stuff's not floating around out there for some things. Heck, the box that I use to record and do the Indian Springs News runs on Windows XP in the other portable behind my classroom. So it exists. There's stuff out there like that. But for the most part, you're going to see Windows 7, 8, 8.1, and then Windows 10. If you're doing something where you have your own business and you're helping people at home set up and protect their computer stuff, consumers can go out and buy all kinds of different computers with different operating systems on them based on what their budget is. So you got to watch out for that. And as we're going to read and see right here, and that's a good segue, is corporate and personal users have different needs. So the Windows 10 education is going to have certain features turned on, whereas Windows 10 home will have different things that won't be on and you won't be able to see, which is pretty wild, because you could be at a computer in school and be like, hey, I'm able to do blah, blah, blah on my computer at school. I come home, it's not even there when I look in the control panel, or if I go to the start menu and go start typing something, it's just not there. That happens. So you have to be aware of why the differences exist and where they are. This is really interesting because I felt really old reading this. The first version of Microsoft Windows operating system was released in 1985. That was Microsoft DOS. DOS means disk operating system. And I can go do a separate video on that, on what DOS looks like. It's basically the command line, but that's all the operating system was. And then sooner or later, as the hardware got better to run more graphical things, this really smart dude called Bill Gates, with his main investor Paul Allen, decided it would be nice to have some type of graphical interface to use the operating system, so you could just point and click things with this funny little thing called a mouse and a keyboard and all that. And that's where the first version of Windows, or Windows 3.0, was the most prevalent one. There was a version or two before that, but it wasn't really big. Windows 3.0, Windows 3.1, and then Windows 3.11 were the first graphical user interface versions of Windows. We're not going back that far with this. We're going to be talking about the modern ones here. This also talks about corporate and personal uses of the operating system are different. Active Directory is a thing. You do this all the time, and you've heard that terminology when someone says, have you logged in with your Active Directory credentials? Well, that's when you log into computers there, right? Your username for school is your school ID, and then you put in your password. That authentication happens from your device to a server that manages something called the Active Directory. And it's just what it is. It's a directory of usernames. And when you log in, your credentials are matched against that Active Directory, and that domain where your username exists. And I'm using a lot of words and terms that have nothing to do with what we really should be talking about, but it's important to know. When you log in, it checks your username and password, and your account resides in a container, and that container then dictates to you what you have access to on the network in terms of your Windows computer. It's what gives you the permission to, like, if you log into a computer in my classroom, sorry, if you log into a computer in your classroom, in my classroom rather, and save a file to the desktop, close out of it, go to a computer in a computer lab, and log back in, well, that file sticks with your profile. And those are the kind of settings that you make in Active Directory and domain and business. That's all, like, what you see in the corporate world. No need for any of that for a home user. You do not use Active Directory or some of the things that they talk about down here, like BitLocker, encrypted file systems and all that. None of that is for the home user at all. None of that is really being used for the home user. And if a home user has a need for that stuff, then they need to purchase the right version of Windows for them. I'm not going to read through all this stuff. I created a Google Doc for this. I already posted it on Google Classroom, and I'll remind you of that at the end of this. So the next couple of slides on this go through the different versions of Windows. Windows 7 came out in 2009, offered some improvements in the interface, and had some home group file sharing, which was actually sort of cool. If you have multiple Windows computers, you can kind of make your own home version of a network to share files, but it was not anywhere near as complicated or as robust as what's used in a corporate environment, but still cool. Microsoft ended support for this past January 2020. What that means is that, like, say you have a problem in your operating system and you have to contact Microsoft, and you call them up or you go to the Microsoft message boards, they're not going to help you. They'll have information there that you can do your own research to try and fix an issue, but it is not a supported operating system anymore. So this should have ended in January of 2020. You have Windows 8. Windows 8 was a problem because they changed what Windows looked like. They got rid of the start button, and you know what? It's like one of those things where, you guys usually use like Instagram, or if you use Facebook, every once in a while Facebook comes out with like, hey, we've updated Facebook, and they change the layout and move things where you're used to them being, and everyone freaks out. Well, that's what Windows did, and it did not draw a lot of support from the user community. Although some of the security improvements, the fact that it had expanded support for tablets and phones and stuff like that. So it was one operating system that was able to be used across multiple devices, which was a first. Usually you just had an operating system and it was the desktop operating system. And if you wanted an OS for a phone or a tablet, it's a separate animal. That's kind of like how Apple treats it. Microsoft tried to make hey, we have one operating system, and depending on your device, the operating system can then support, all that stuff. So they took a different path to that. But Windows 8 did not do very well financially for Windows, and they were forced to do Windows 8.1. Notice that they only went up a decimal that time. Windows 8.1 really, what's this? Oh, I didn't even realize that was there. That's funny. Did you guys know that? You can resize the text. Just to show you how much I pay attention. Of course, Windows 8 wasn't well received, blah, 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 blah. They released Windows 8.1 about a year or two later, year and a half later. When did that come out? 2012, October 2012. Yeah, so it took them about a year. They put the start screen back and made the interface one where, even if you look at my desktop here, this is pretty much the same interface as Windows 8.1 now. Ignore the 40 billion icons that are on my desktop. I'm sorry about that. I'm a little messy when it comes to those things, but you see all these PDF documents. I have to put them all in one folder. I can neaten this up a little bit, but so Windows 8.1 made it look more like Windows again, with all the same security enhancements and improvements and all that. Which brings us then to Windows 10, and you can see this is the fattest section over here. Windows 10 became available in 2015, and one of the things that are a little different about Windows 10 is that it really is designed to support everything. Every phone, every tablet that's out there that can run Windows runs Windows 10. And you've noticed even on our laptops at school, the new ones, the good ones, right? I didn't mean Devin Coyle have messed with this a little bit, and we were talking about this one day. You can put your operating system into tablet mode on the fly. So those laptops are pretty robust and powerful. You can slap it into tablet mode, and then it acts like you're on a laptop. That comes in handy for a lot of multi-purpose devices. Like I have a laptop that is touchscreen. I have a Dell laptop that's touchscreen. I can put that into tablet mode, and then use it as if it was a laptop kind of a situation if I need be. A lot of devices now have that where the monitor flips all the way around where you can actually even hold it as a tablet. But then when you need to use it as a desktop, you go back into desktop mode and you're back in the world of what Windows typically looks like. Windows 10 is a big change for Microsoft as well, mainly because they're not coming out with any new operating systems after this now. All they're going to do is update Windows 10. So in other words, they're moving to a model where all they're going to do is update features. And yes, that might radically change what it looks like sometimes and over the next bunch of years. But really, all they've done since 2015, which is 5 years now for Windows 10, is there'll be some big updates every couple of months. Sometimes it's every 6 months. Sometimes it's every 8 months. Sometimes only even once a year where you get a big update that will improve upon features, add different security things, add functionality to the operating system, and they kind of do a lot of little small ones during the course of time. Where even once a month you'll have some type of update, and a lot of times those updates are just updating the operating system in the background for small things and not anything really big that you would notice as a user for that. So that was a big change in the model that Microsoft moved to for what they do. I'm sorry, Mrs. Speciale just walked in. She wanted to talk to me, but I'm in the middle of recording. And I'm getting a text from Aurora, so I'm going to look at my phone real quick. Send me a picture of Jordan's. Okay. And what's funny is that you would think Microsoft would be losing money by doing it that way. In reality, is that Microsoft Windows is on I would venture a guess anywhere from 75 to 85% of the computers worldwide. And they make a lot of money on their licensing fees for companies that buy a site license for Windows. Kind of like the school district, right? The school district has to pay for 300,000 copies of Windows, or they'll get a discount because they're buying in bulk. And they have those licenses that they maintain that they pay for that license every year. Microsoft also makes a lot of money on other products like Microsoft Office is really important. Microsoft Server and Windows Server is something we'll talk more about next year, but the server version of the operating system that runs in the background that powers things like email, Active Directory, DNS, all the other concepts that we've been talking about. So that's a whole other ball of wax that we're not getting into right now. That's really it for this section. I don't want to talk too much more because you probably stopped listening a couple of minutes ago because I really want to listen to me so much, as entertaining as I might be. Give this a try if you have access to Net Academy and take a look at that. What I did do, though, is I posted the notes version of this in a Google Doc. I'm going to open it up real quick. So you have all this. I will make a quizzes tomorrow and post that for like say Tuesday, and give it a try and get as much reading up on this as you can. If you want to move a little forward past this, you can. I'll be marching through all this, and the next video I make that will post on Wednesday will probably go over this section about what the Windows desktop, the evolution of the Windows desktop, and how it's different from now to when it first came out. So, not really compelling stuff, but important stuff, because if you're thinking about going into working in technology, you're going to see Windows anywhere, and knowing how to maneuver around and configure Windows is going to be really important. So, posting this on here, you should see this. This video will be up here waiting for you tomorrow morning as well. I will reach out and contact as many of you as I can in the morning. And the only other thing that I'll say is at 11:30 on Monday, March 30th, Mr. Norton is going to be up at the school. If you need a Chromebook, if you have an internet connection at home but don't really have a reliable device to use, excuse me, email me. Mr. Norton sent out an email with a link that you have to fill out a thing to sign out a Chromebook to use during this time. So reach out to me if you need to, or email Mr. Norton and he'll send you that link. And he should be up at the school tomorrow at 11:30. Hopefully, I'll speak to the majority of you tomorrow. I'm going to post all this stuff and record it, finish recording and all that now. Let me play my outro music because I kind of liked it. Yeah. See, the music makes you talk lower right there, right? Is it too loud? Hold on. Let's lower the volume a little bit. There you go. All right. This is Mr. Speciale. I hope everybody is well. Hope everybody's staying safe. Hang in there. Hopefully, we'll see each other soon. And until then, please try and engage with this content as much as you can. I don't want you guys to forget a lot of the stuff that we've done already. All right. Until then, I'll speak to you guys soon. You've been listening to Smooth Jazz of Mr. Speciale.